These are 15 great urban survival podcasts. As a truck driver who spends hours in the cab westbound and down, loaded up and trucking, it can get a bit boring, so I listen to the radio mostly. But the endless commercial breaks are a bit too much to take, you know what I mean? So I started listening to podcasts. I recently came across a podcast site through Player FM. You can download the app, but what I do is download the podcast itself, then upload it to a USB drive in the order that I want to listen to them, and boom, hours of uninterrupted listening enjoyment. In this video, I will highlight and briefly describe the podcast so that you can decide what you might be interested in listening to. First up is the Survivalist Prepper Podcast. The Survivalist Prepper is all about survival skills, prepping, preparedness, and living off the grid without too much tinfoil hat stuff, learning how to become more self-sufficient when disaster strikes. In the Rabbit Hole, Urban Survival discusses survival, preparedness, guns, tactical urban homesteading, personal safety, food storage, gear reviews, and other topics with actionable information. Every Monday with a comedic twist and no tight tinfoil hats. The Survivalist Podcast, helping you live a better life if times get tough or even if they don't. Short and sweet, I like that one. Modern Combat and Survival, Tactical Firearms, Urban Survival, Close Quarters Combat Training. Bullets, beans, and band-aids, baby. From defending against a home invasion to escaping and invading social chaos after a collapse. Casual Preppers Podcast. Prepping, survival, entertainment. We discuss survival prepper topics in an entertaining yet useful fashion for the average Joe. Hey, my name is Joe. Whether for a zombie apocalypse or natural disaster, that's the podcast to listen to. How to survive the end of the world. Join Autumn Brown and Adrienne Marie Brown, two sisters who share many identities as writers, activists, facilitators, and inheritors of multiracial, diasporic lineages, as well as particular interest in the question of survival. Diasporic, that's an interesting term. I'll have to look that up. The Big One, your survival guide. When the big one hits, it'll take under 2 minutes for more than 10 million Southern Californians to lose internet, power, and a sense of security. I'm assuming they're talking about an earthquake. The Mind for Survival Podcast, prepping and survival tips for the survivalist-minded prepper. Are you looking for safety, security, survival, and emergency preparedness, skills and tips? Mind for Survival is your one-stop shop for survival and preparedness information. So there you go. One-stop shop. Prepper Podcast Radio Network, founded to give all preppers a home to listen to respected preppers in your community. Prepping Academy. Prepping Academy radio show is a live broadcast where we discuss all things prepping, survival, self-reliance, and where preppers unite. The Prepper Podcast. The Prepper Podcast is an up-to-date survival podcast based on wilderness survival, military survival and tactics, and modern-day survival. The Prepper Website Podcast, audio for the prepared life. The Prepper Website Podcast provides audio versions of articles that focus on preparing for survival, homesteading, bushcraft, DIY, which is do-it-yourself, frugal living, and alternative news. Canadian Prepper Podcast, not to be confused with Canadian Prepper, the YouTube internet sensation, you know, the guy with the German Shepherd on all those great videos. This is a podcast dedicated to preppers, homesteaders, survivalists, and overall emergency preparedness. The Survival Show. Discover how to survive almost anything. We'll show you how to use what you learn on the podcast today to thrive in your life tomorrow. This is How We Die. Interesting title. A podcast about cities, infrastructure, natural disasters, and how you can survive the big one. As a side note, a few of these podcasts have not added new material in a while, and others are very prolific in uploading podcasts. So check them out, see which ones you like, and Prepper Action out. As always, be safe. Hey, it's Prepper Action, and I recently added a section of knives to my Amazon store, featuring folding and fixed blade knife designs by brands you know and trust. Brands like Cold Steel, Benchmade, Buck Knives, K-Bar, Spyderco, Zero Tolerance, and more. With many knives to choose from, they're all featured on this entire page. Just click on the knife design you're interested in, read up on the specs, and make a purchase. You'll find the link to my Amazon store in the description of this video.